Hey everyone, just waiting for it to get started. And we are live. Hi everyone. So, for everybody to file in, come in, join. So, as you're coming in, I would love for you to just say hi in the comments, introduce yourself, start conversations. And yeah, I would love for you guys to start just interacting with each other because I want to make this place a community. But I'm gonna slowly get started. And yeah, hi. Like, if you join, please put your name and say hi in the comments because I can't see who's joining quite yet. I'm still figuring out all of this live stuff. But hi, Allison. Thank you for joining. And so today we're going to be covering tarot versus oracle. And like, I know that this is a topic that a lot of you guys expressed interest in. A lot of you guys were really excited about. Hi, Karen. And so, yeah, let's just dive right in. So, tarot is, well, actually, let's dive in with just card reading. Card reading is, it's a form of divination. It comes from way in the past, and there's actually a few different forms. Today I'm covering just tarot and oracle cards, but there's also like I Ching and Lenormand, which those I actually don't know a lot about, so I'm not going to talk about them because I don't know them. But let's start off with tarot. Now, tarot is the more popular of the two. It's it's the card system that typically consists of 78 cards, and those cards are divided up into five sections. And the first section is the major arcana, and those are typically, like, if you've heard of any tarot cards, it's like the high priestess, the chariot, judgment. Those are those cards. And the major arcana deals with the hero's journey. It deals with telling our story through, either the numbers might start at 0 or might start at 1, but it'll typically go 0 to 21 or 1 to 22. So that's the major arcana. And then the next 56, if I'm doing my math correctly, of the cards, it is the minor arcana. And the minor arcana is actually split up then into four different suits. And the suits is just a different category of what that what that part of the deck covers. So in tarot, the four suits are wands, pentacles, cups, and swords. And each there's so much history to go into, but just to give a brief overview, like, swords is connected to the element of air and intellect. Earth is pentacles, and that's connected to money and whatnot. And wands is connected to fire, which that's connected more to action and manifestation. And cups is connected to water, is connected to emotions. So you can kind of start to see how the tarot can give a very broad and general picture of what's going on in our lives because it's touching on these main different topics. And so, like, after the four suits, each of the minor arcana starts with the ace. And so there's the ace of cups, the ace of pentacles, the ace of wands, and the ace of swords, making sure I get all four here. And so it goes from ace to 10. And inside the minor arcana, just as the hero story is telling a story, the minor arcana, each of those suits is telling their own story just as well. That's why there's going to be a very different energy with the 10 of wands versus the 10 of cups. Yeah, there's a lot that can go into tarot. And I mean, as there's a lot that can go into tarot, I'm also an intuitive tarot reader. So just as much as I'm giving you all of you this information, If it doesn't suit you, then throw it out the window, chuck it. Like, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. And yeah, just do what works best for you. Yeah, Allison said that the tarot is almost like a playing card deck, but so much cooler. Actually, a little bit of history. The tarot actually started as a card playing game in, I believe, 14th century Italy is when like the very very early stages of tarot decks were being made. So it is pretty much a playing card deck, which again, that's why I'm kind of like with tarot, throw out the rules, because the tarot, the deck, that is just a tool. The power and the intuition and the messages is being channeled through us and whoever else is stepping forward. So yeah, and so for the main deck that most people talk about is the Rider Waite Smith card, and that's a deck that's actually never really resonated with me. I actually don't own one, and the first deck I started off with for tarot was actually I bought my very first tarot deck off of Kickstarter, and that was the Marigold Tarot, and it's nearby. Yes, here it is. And so this is what the box looked like, and it's so gorgeous. Like, oh my goodness, like this is just one of the cards, and like I just, to this day, I bought this like 3 years ago, and I still love this deck. So yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that point, but anyway, I don't have a Rider Waite Smith deck. Most tarot readers are going to tell you that's the one to start off with. If you want to, that's what you can start off with. I'd say start off with any deck that resonates with you, which essentially means, do you like the art? Are you able to create a story with these cards, pretty much? Because that's a huge tidbit about tarot. Tarot is just a form, like, it very much relates to storytelling. And so, hi, if you're joining, just say hi down in the comments. I can't see who's watching unless you comment, so I would love for you to comment and say hi, join the conversation. Yeah, exactly, Karen. Start with a deck that calls to you, that you resonate with, and I mean, it can start as simply as you like the artwork, because funny thing about me starting like all of these oracle decks and tarot decks, I never intended to actually learn tarot. I just really loved the artwork on this Marigold Tarot, and eventually it was like, okay, I should actually learn what all of this means and whatnot. So yeah, so I agree, Karen. Hi, Danny. And so that's kind of the main overview of what a tarot deck is. Now, oracle decks are much more free flow. They're a lot more they're a lot more intuitive in nature, and the thing with tarot decks is that a tarot deck is almost always, again, going to have 78 or 79 cards, and it's going to have that structure. That is how you know it's a tarot deck. Oracle decks have a lot more freedom and flow, and like the amount of cards, the topic, and all of those sorts of things. So I have a few oracle decks nearby, and this one called the Wilderness Collide guide, like the Wilderness Collide deck. These are topics and anything that the deck creator decided. So this is one card, and then this is another. So you can see with oracle decks that the topic kind of becomes a lot broader. There's a lot less restriction with what you can cover. Yeah, Danny commented that artwork is what she loves about them as well. Absolutely. Like, I know for me personally, if I don't like the artwork to a deck, I'm just not going to use it. Trust me, I have so many decks that I ended up buying that I just didn't like the artwork, but I was like, oh, so many people are raving about it, I should give it a shot. Didn't use it. So I would suggest that if you're gonna buy a deck, make sure you like how it looks, because you're gonna be staring at them. And yeah, again, like Oracle decks, they very much don't have a lot of rules. They don't have as much structure. So Oracle decks have more freedom, in my opinion. And I'd say Oracle decks is a really good for beginners because you don't have to do any research or any training really to start reading Oracle decks. All you have to do is to really be able to look at a card and glean any meaning, any information, any tidbits that are coming up in your head from it. So yeah, and then I got one more deck. This one is actually the Magic and Mediums Oracle, and this is, I'm gonna say that all of these card decks are my favorite because they are. But like, this is one. If you can see it, there we go. And just, this is another card. So as you can see, again, it's very broad topics, and you can find an Oracle deck about pretty much anything. Like, if you go to the more indie sites, you can definitely find an Oracle deck that resonates. You could find a tarot deck that resonates, because that was the problem that I ran into early on, was that a lot of the tarot decks just didn't resonate with my energy and what I liked. So I just kept buying Oracle decks, and then eventually and eventually I found a deck that I liked and just went from there. So yeah, that's pretty much the main difference between tarot and oracle cards. So just quickly down below. So the first deck I showed, that was the Marigold Tarot. The second deck I showed was the Wilderness Collide Oracle deck. So these. And the third one I showed you guys was the Magic and Mediums Oracle. And so yeah, I can put all of these titles in the comment section as well. So don't worry, I can put that together. And yeah, just, does anyone have any questions about anything? Questions, comments? Allison's asking, when you are sitting with the deck, difference as to how you would approach questions. Yeah, the Marigold Tarot is like really amazing, and there is absolutely a specific way that I would approach questions with tarot or oracle decks. So me personally, you can do you, but me personally, I would ask questions. I would ask questions that pertain to, how can I improve myself? How can I shift this energy? How can I change or improve myself? So, to give an example, I would not ask, when will I get married? When, like, will I get such and such issue? Or when will I get my first car? I wouldn't ask questions like that. Me personally, I don't use the tarot to predict events. I use the tarot to ask specific questions and to give insight into those questions. So instead of, when will I get a new car, it can be, what steps can I take towards getting a new car, or instead of what was the other question I said? Instead of when will I get married? Oh goodness, can you guys see me? I hope you guys can still see me. But I'm just gonna thank you. Um, Instead of saying like when will I get married, I would ask what can I do to bring more love into my life? What can I do to show myself more love, to open myself up to that frequency? So yeah, that's actually Allison put it a very good way. So it's I don't use it exactly as a divination tool, but as a way to kind of pull back the layers and to go deeper into situations and issues. Like, yes, sometimes I'll pull cards and it'll be like, "Oh, this energy is about to come into your life," or this certain event might happen, but I'm never going to really ask the tarot a question about a specific event, because it's just the tarot wasn't made for specific events like that. It was made to help us into insight into situations. And I had something else in my mind. um, the other thing I would say with asking the right questions is that I also, for me, again, personally, I don't read for third parties. So if I was doing a reading with any of you guys, I would keep the reading between what you're asking in your life. I wouldn't include like any significant others or family members, because they're not there for the reading, they're not consenting to the reading, and that's just it's almost like invading on their energetic space, really, when you start reading for about other people's lives without their permission. So yeah, do we have any other questions? Any other questions? Well, I want to thank everyone who showed up. I want to thank everyone who's watching this live and watching the replay. Oh, Danny, I got you. I got you. Just give you a. I'll to my where you can book a reading session, and yeah, we will go from there, Danny. Just one moment. Or better yet, I will put the link right after I finish this live. I don't want to just take up airspace and all of that stuff, but I do I use one? Allison asked, do I use one or the others for specific inquiries? See, now you're going into specific topics, because I know a lot of people who will say that like you can only ask oracle cards certain questions, like tarot cards are going to be what gets you deeper. Again, it's like you do you. If oracle cards, like I believe oracle cards can get you just as deep and detailed answers as tarot. So no, I don't use one or the other for specific inquiries. It really just, I just check in with the energy, step forward, um, of what I'm feeling like. And if I'm feeling more like reading tarot one day, and then the next day I feel like reading oracle cards, then I just go with that. But no, there's no specific inquiries that are just for tarot cards and specific inquiries that are just for oracle cards. Now, one thing I will say with that is that some oracle decks they're made with like um they'll have the words, but then they might have a little blurb at the bottom. Let me see if I can find a specific deck that has it. Not this one. No, but I have a few decks where they have the words, where they'll have words instead of like letting you have like your own intuitive pool. So those decks, Oracle decks, it would be a little bit harder to kind of like ask super deep questions, but again, it depends on whatever deck is just calling to you. Yeah. Thank you for those awesome questions, Allison. And yeah, if no one else has any more questions, I'm going to head off. Again, thank you to everyone who watched the live. Thank you to everyone who watched the replay. I am good. Awesome day too. Bye.